Hey, Mully here. Firstly, let me apologise about how long it's taken to get this episode out. A mixture of Christmas and New Year partying and lack of decent internet has left me a bit far behind, so I'll run through what we've been up to thus far. So in the last episode we had just left Auckland. That turned out to be a lot of hassle again. We arrived at a campsite we'd found on the internet and things didn't look promising. There was no signs on the road, so we asked the guy that was just in a little lay-by, and he said that the campsite was now a construction site. So we were running out of daylight and decided to cycle on and stop at a McDonald's to borrow their Wi-Fi and grab a cold drink. Drinks ordered, no Wi-Fi. Luckily we saw that there was a motel just down the road, so we stopped in there, and they advised us to try the campsite that we'd just come from. Anyway, $100 down and we're back on the road for the next stop. We paused for lunch at Kawakawa Bay and a quick paddle in the sea to cool off. The views were amazing, so I decided to treat myself to this episode's pie time. Second up to the pie time list is an amazing homemade steak and curry pie from the Kawakawa Bay store and takeaways. A great crispy crust and a lovely thick spiced filling with big chunks of tender steak melt in the mouth. A fantastic pie. Pie time. Originally planning to cycle 27 miles, we got to the next campsite at midday, so we decided to carry on for our longest ride of 47 miles, all the way to Miranda. Great decision too, as the campsite had a free hot spring, so we could relax in that. It was amazing for our legs to recover. The next stop saw us hole up at Thames for a couple of days to miss out on some pretty dismal rain. The campsite was pretty cool. You may remember the stream that I used as a backdrop for the last video. We then left Thames to cycle across the Coromandel Peninsula. The road we took was completely gravel and pretty steep, but we had some amazing views on the way. We found out afterwards that hire cars are not allowed up the track as the insurance don't cover them, so it made it feel like much more of an achievement. We arrived at our next stop, Hot Water Beach. It was an incredible experience, being able to walk out onto the sand and dig a hole for it to fill with water from the hot springs below. Finally, my years of practicing as a kid digging holes in the sand had paid off. While staying at Hot Water Beach, we took a day's cycle up to Hahe and the Cathedral Cove, which was pretty cool, a huge archway in the rocks and lovely beaches either side of it. We left the beach for a few more climbs, some more amazing views, and a quick stop off in Whangamata, then off to Waihi, where we stayed at an Airbnb to do some laundry and use their internet. We had a look around the next door gold mine, which was mind-blowing. I'd never seen an open mine before, and the size of it was incredible. I felt tiny in comparison. We left Waihi and took a short ride down to Katikati, otherwise known as Mural Town. Some great artwork lined the streets, and we stayed for a few nights at the local naturist camp. The Katikati Naturist Camp must have been the nicest campsite we'd stayed in. Really well kept and relaxed. Lots of activities like mini putt golf, table tennis. There was 2 hot tubs and a swimming pool, and it was one of the cheapest campsites that we'd stayed in. I didn't even have to bother with clothes. Fantastic. We left Katikati to take on the Haraki Rail Trail, an old rail line that took us across to the Karangahaki Gorge. Soon after we joined in the trail, we reached a milestone. 1,000 miles! That's it, we had cycled 1,000 miles around New Zealand. We were absolutely elated. We stopped halfway for a peek at the waterfalls, and then stayed at a small dock campsite called Dicky Flats, which had a nice stream. Then back on the trail, stopping again for the Windows Walk, which was pretty cool. Lovely river views, then following an old mine track through some tunnels through the mountains. Luckily we had our bike lights to find our way through and had a good explore. We had another quick detour to see the giant L&P bottle in Pyroa. L&P is a really refreshing lemon soft drink, like lemonade on drugs. We stayed at a campsite in Tearoa, then Hamilton. Next, another 47-mile ride through rain to get to Waitomo. We've been looking forward to Waitomo as they have a huge amount of glowworm caves to explore. We took a boat ride through the main cave and then walked through the Ruakuri cave to see some great rock formations, stalactites, stalagmites, coral and curtain rocks, and lots more glowworms. We arrived back at our campsite and met a lovely woman from LA called Erin. So with wine and some great chats, we had mentioned that we were going to be relying on a bus that went once a day and may or may not have room for our bikes to take us through a 70-mile campsite barren route. Erin was an absolute lifesaver. She was travelling back to Rotorua, so offered us a lift with her all the way to Taupo. We dismantled our bikes and with my mad Tetris skills, we loaded in all of our gear. Thanks again, Erin. When we make it over to LA, we'll definitely come and visit. We decided to stay at the Taupo Urban Retreat Backpackers Lodge for the Christmas period. On Christmas Eve, we decided to tackle the Tongariro crossing, and what a day that was. -6 degrees, gale winds and snow made for an interesting climb. Mount Doom, or Narahoe as it's otherwise called, was great, even though we could only see the bottom of it. We ran across the top to get out of the winds and past the Emerald Lakes on the other side. The next day we had a great Christmas meal of turkey, ham, loads of veg and a ton of pavlova for dessert. Not sure what it is, but the Kiwis love their pavlova. We had a great time playing a few party games and won some great prizes. We then went for a swim in the lake, which was surreal. We made some really great friends during our stay in Taupo. So Eric, Jack, Atar, Chloe and Rob, I hope you guys are having a great trip. Stay in touch. Just before leaving, I decided to cash in the bungee jump that I won from a Pass the Parcel on Christmas Day in the Backpackers. I really wanted to play it cool and fall forwards gracefully off the edge, but even though I knew I was okay, my body thought otherwise.
3, 2, 1, go!
Next we headed up to the Waiotapu Thermal Park, which was incredible. So many different geothermal springs, loads of amazing colours from the different minerals in every one of them. The champagne pool and the Devil's Bath were my favourite. We spent a couple of days in Rotorua where we got to cook a meal in a Maori hangi, using the steam from the on-site boiling mud pool. I made a lamb stew with onions, carrots, potato, kumara, broccoli, lamb, well seasoned, and then put in the hangi for 3.5 hours and served with corn steamed in its husk. We then got to see how a hangi is really done in the Mitai Maori village. We were treated to a buffet meal cooked in the hangi, saw a waka, the Maori canoe being rowed down the stream, and then a performance of traditional songs and dances, and then the world famous haka. We left Rotorua to spend New Year at Marata at the Bay of Plenty Sun Club, another naturist camp, where we chatted, drank with the members until the new year. New Year's Day was a write-off, so the day after we headed to Whakatane, where we had some awful weather, so quickly moved on to Opotiki, which is where I will leave you today. I hope you all had a great Christmas and a happy new year. Thank you everyone who's been watching my videos. Please continue to like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you next time.